Hello and welcome. Tonight, we journey back in time, to the dawn of empires, to a land nestled between two rivers. Close your eyes, settle in, and let the story of the Akkadian Empire gently guide you towards sleep. Our story begins in Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, a fertile crescent where cities first blossomed. For centuries, this land was a patchwork of Sumerian city-states, each with its own king, its own deity, its own ambitions. Cities like Ururuk and Lagashvid for power, their histories a long, slow dance of shifting alliances and conflicts. Life was tied to the rhythm of the rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, and the cycles of the harvest. Into this world, a new power was stirring. To the north of Sumer lived a Semitic-speaking people. For a long time, they lived alongside their Sumerian neighbors, absorbing their culture, their writing system, and their gods. They were a part of the Mesopotamian tapestry, but not yet its defining thread. That was about to change with the arrival of one man, whose name would echo through millennia. Sargon. The legends surrounding Sargon's birth are hazy, much like a distant dream. They tell of a baby set adrift in a reed basket on the Euphrates River, found and raised by a humble gardener. A story of humble beginnings, destined for greatness. As a young man, Sargon served as a cupbearer to the king of Kish, one of Sumer's most powerful cities, but destiny had a grander role for him. Through a series of events that are now lost to the mists of time, Sargon seized the throne of Kish. From this seat of power, Sargon looked south. He was not content to be just another king in a land of kings. He envisioned something new, something grander. A single, unified state under his rule. He built a new capital, Akkad, a city whose exact location remains one of archaeology's great mysteries. From Akkad, he launched a series of campaigns that would reshape the world. His armies, disciplined and relentless, marched south. One by one, the ancient Sumerian city-states fell before him. Lugal-Z-Jisi, the powerful king of Uruk, who had himself unified Sumer, was defeated, captured, and brought in a neck stock to the gate of the god Enlil in Nippur. Sargon washed his weapons in the waters of the Persian Gulf, a symbolic gesture declaring his conquest complete. He had done what no one had done before. He had united the disparate cities of Mesopotamia, from the northern plains to the southern sea, into the world's first empire. Sargon's reign, which lasted over 5 decades, was not just about conquest. It was about administration. Ruling such a vast and diverse territory required new methods. He replaced the old, local rulers with his own trusted governors, loyal Akkadians who enforced his will. He standardized weights, measures, and even the calendar across his domain, weaving the scattered cities into a single economic and political fabric. He established a postal system, a network of messengers that could carry his decrees across the empire with unprecedented speed. The land was now connected, not just by rivers, but by the will of a single ruler. The Akkadian language, once the tongue of a northern people, became the official language of administration, diplomacy, and trade throughout the Near East. It was the first lingua franca, a common language that allowed people from different cultures to communicate and conduct business. This cultural unification was perhaps as significant as his military victories. Sargon's legacy was carried on by his sons, Raimush and Manishtushu. They faced constant rebellions from the proud Sumerian cities, who chafed under Akkadian rule. Their reigns were a continuous struggle to maintain the unity their father had forged. They fought battles, put down uprisings, and held the fragile empire together through sheer force. It was a period of consolidation, of defending the gains that had been made. The empire reached its zenith under Sargon's grandson, Naram-Sin. He was a figure of immense power and ambition, even more so than his legendary grandfather. Naram-Sin not only expanded the empire's borders, campaigning into the mountains of modern-day Iran and the lands of Syria, but he also took a radical step. He declared himself a god, the god of Akkad. This was a profound shift. Previous kings were seen as shepherds of the people, chosen by the gods. Naram-Sin claimed to be a divinity himself, a living deity walking among mortals. His famous victory stele, now in the Louvre, depicts him as a powerful, ornate figure, larger than his soldiers, ascending a mountain over his vanquished enemies. But even for a living god, maintaining an empire was a monumental task. The rebellions continued, a constant, simmering discontent, and a new threat was gathering on the horizon. From the Zagros Mountains to the east came a people the Akkadians called the Gutians. The texts describe them as a barbarian horde, a disruptive force that knew no kingship and respected no gods. The later years of Naram-Sin's reign, and that of his son, Sargon, were marked by a desperate struggle against these pressures. The empire was being attacked from without by the Gutians, and torn apart from within by incessant revolts. The centralized administration that Sargon had built began to fracture. Governors in distant cities began to assert their independence. The economic system faltered. Famine and drought may have also played a role, weakening the heartland and making it harder to support the army and the bureaucracy. The fall of Akkad was not a single, dramatic event, but a slow, steady decline. After the reign of Shaka-Lishari, the empire dissolved. The king lists record a period of anarchy, asking who was king, who was not king. The Gutians swept down from the mountains and established their own rule over parts of Mesopotamia for nearly a century. The Akkadian Empire, which had burned so brightly, was extinguished. It had lasted for about 180 years, a mere blink in the long arc of history, but its impact was profound. Though the empire itself was gone, its memory endured. The idea of a unified empire, ruled by a single, powerful king, became a permanent part of the political landscape of the Near East. Future empires, from the Babylonians to the Assyrians, would look back to Sargon and Naram-Sin as their models. The Akkadian language continued to be used for centuries, and the stories of the Akkadian kings were told and retold, becoming a fundamental part of Mesopotamian culture. The Akkadian Empire was a brief but brilliant chapter in the story of humanity, a story of ambition, of unification, of a new way of organizing the world, a story that rose from the dust of Mesopotamia, shone with divine ambition, and then, just as slowly, faded back into the earth, leaving behind a legacy that would shape civilizations for thousands of years to come. And now, as the echoes of Akkad fade, let your mind drift. Let the stillness of ancient history carry you into a deep and peaceful rest. Good night.